Brown, and I am one of the co-founders of the Women Writing Intentionally Collective. Today, I am so excited to be joined by one of our beautiful contributing authors, the gorgeous Tara Haislip, who is joining us for both Broken and Burned, so the second and third books in the series. And Tara, I would love for you to just give everybody a little bit of an intro to you and how you help people, and yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. My name is Tara Haislip, and I am the CEO of Grounded Energy 111, an intuitive career coach and an international best-selling author. So writing in these books is not my first go around, and I love doing multi-author books. What I do is I work with women mostly. Not that I won't work with men, but I enjoy working with women from my own experiences and what I've learned through coaching as well as working with colleagues. I help women in high stress careers tap into their own intuition through different mindfulness practices. And to kind of plainly put it, help them reduce their stress and anxiety and increase their productivity and find their definition of work-life balance. So I help them balance their masculine and feminine energies, regardless of gender, to find that balance. So learned through my own experiences as well as when we are working in corporate, it's very high stress, very masculine driven. We're constantly, as women, tapping into that energy, that go, go, go mentality, and we ignore our own cycles. Which has a huge impact on our physical wellness. And when I was working in health coaching for a health tech startup, that was a lot of the conversation that I heard from women was that they were really struggling with weight loss. They were putting it on, but they could not get it off as fast as they were putting it on. And they were doing all the right things. They weren't sleeping well. They were not, there were hormonal imbalances that they were dealing with, a lot of thyroid issues, and recognizing that, like, on some level, they were dealing from exhaustion due to cortisol levels, and working with their physicians. So that's when I stepped out and said, let's get to the root problem that many of us women are struggling with and find that balance for ourselves.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And I think this is why we resonate so well because, like you, I feel particularly passionate about balancing that divine masculine and feminine energy, and really the way that, the corporate business structures is very much in the masculine energy, and it doesn't take into account the differences between the energetic cycles that, particularly as women, we experience through like our menstrual cycles and life cycles in terms of the a wider wheel of the year or wheel of life kind of thing. And so I absolutely love what you do, and I love that you are bringing that energy and that wisdom and that knowledge and that magic into the Wounded Women series, because I feel like this is tapping very much into part of the struggles that we as women experience in life that maybe we're not even aware of either. So I just like diving in a little bit deeper into that. What was it that actually made you feel called to contribute to this particular series? Because as you mentioned, you have written in multi-author books before, and you have, this isn't your first go round. But what was it about Wounded Women and the stories that we're planning to share in both Broken and Burned that really lit you up and made you say, oh my goodness, I have to be in these books?
Yeah. Yes. So in talking about on the surface level of like all of the things that I've experienced in corporate, and I talk about this with my clients and on my own platforms, is when we peel back the layers to get to what is underneath and the deep emotions and what drives us to do what we do. Broken really spoke to me immediately because there's so much that I have been breaking in terms of generational conditioning. And it's one of those things that I don't think it was really recognized as a quote unquote conditioning. And it is kind of morphed and changed. And the interesting thing is I've actually written my chapter for Broken is written. I channeled it. What came through was extremely powerful, and I knew I needed to channel it because I still, on a 3D consciousness level, want to be that little kid that's trying to make it all better for everybody else and make it be okay, even though I'm ignoring how I truly feel.
Yeah.
And that is the whole, like, that is immediately why I wanted to do Broken. And I'm very interested to see what will channel through for Burn, because it's going to be a continuation of this, I think, to a certain degree. Because as I've broken cycles, I've gone through a couple of very dark shadow work moments. And I know that's a big hot button word for many people. And trust me, when I started diving into my own spiritual health and like reconnecting with myself and getting grounded in who I am and just learning who I was, I didn't want to recognize it as shadow work because it kind of scared me a little bit, because I am an intuitive and I am an empath and I'm a clairvoyant. So I was like, no, I'm not going down that dark path. But in retrospect, when I look at everything, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. And I've recently gone through something that was, if anybody listening has ever like talked to somebody who's done shadow work, like those of us who've done the really deep stuff, it gets really heavy, and you have got to have a good solid foundation in just who you are, and your own spiritual practices, whatever they may look like for you, because so much will be drug up from your past, maybe going back to childhood. And then again, like something in your younger years, like younger adult years, which is what happened for me, has come back to surface to heal. And it's a healing process, so that you can up level and really step onto that path that it is what you want to do so deep. Like you think about it, you feel it in your core. So that is what spoke to me about these books, is like, there's so many of us who are trying to up level, and we're trying to like find that confidence to either get on that path or stay on that path. And it's helpful to know that there's other women out there doing it.
Yes. Oh my goodness. There is so much that I really want to touch on in there. And I feel like we could actually unpack this and talk about this for hours, which maybe we'll need to have another conversation about this another day, because so much of what you said resonates so strongly for me. And I have a lot to say about this particular subject, but I'm so happy that you've come on board, and I'm really grateful to have this perspective coming into this container, because this is exactly what Jenny and I were setting out to achieve, was having that opportunity for the women who were coming in as contributing authors to do the shadow work, and actually go back and re-examine their experiences and dive deep. And some of it does bring up a lot of heaviness, and it can. And that's one of the reasons that we have also built into this container things like the sister circles that we've got one coming up next week to help release and work through some of that heaviness, but also because we recognize that it is part of the healing process, that in order to be able to heal and find those the gold so that we can up level, right? We have to be able to let go of the things. And this is one of the struggles in the idea of embracing our spirituality. There are so many people out there who avoid the shadow work because they think, oh, I don't want to go down that dark path. But actually what happens when you're in that high vibe life, toxic positivity, it's actually spiritual bypassing. And
yes,
you cannot actually heal and grow and move on, even in your spiritual journey, as well as your emotional and mental health journeys and all of that, without doing the shadow work, because that's actually part of the growth cycle. So I am so excited that you're here. I'm so excited to have you joining all of the other women in Wounded Women as they also go through their healing journeys, because I know you're going to be an amazing resource and support for them in their journeys, as well as what you get out of it. So how is it that you hope that the channel that you've the chapter that you've broken, and then what you're planning to share in Burned as well, how do you hope that your chapters will help readers?
Yeah, so for Broken, I'm really hoping that I'll give a sneak peek to it. It has to do with maternal bonds, which are often very strong for mothers, daughters, grandmothers, great grandmothers, and what channels through. And those are the hardest bonds to, for lack of, I'll say break. Sometimes there is a breaking aspect, and sometimes there's a redirecting of the bond. And it is very difficult and is very painful. I've been on this journey all my life to find that like place. And I'm hoping that my story for Broken really helps these women know that you're going to get through it. You may need a team of people who are not related to you to support you as you travel through this. It can be done, and it is also very healing on the other side. And then what I can already pick up that's channeling through for Burned is more related to things going on in our current state of the economy, work, things that we experience in the workplace, and how that really plays on us psychologically as women, and like wanting to bring that community aspect into our businesses or our jobs, and then finding that it is very difficult to do that depending on the size of the company that you're in, because you will be up against so many different personalities, people from all walks of life who are bringing forth a lot of their past into the present. Because that's what they learned, that's how they coped. It's not necessarily healthy, it's not necessarily grounded. And if you are coming from a very like healing, you're trying to heal, you're coming from a grounded place, when you experience those things that you've healed from, it could be this explosive, like internal, like what is happening? What am I doing? So for that, I'm hoping that it provides, again, some clarity that they're not the only ones experiencing this. Not that it demeans what you were experiencing, but find your tribe.
Yeah.
Find your tribe and lean on them to get you through it. And I think it kind of all correlates to like Broken too, where you are breaking cycles, which means then you have to break the cycles that you've created in your everyday life, so that you can continue healing and step into that path.
Yes, it's so true. And many of the authors who are doing more than one of the Wounded Women series titles, like you are with Broken and Burned, have found similarly that as they're writing one chapter, like the girls who've just written Betrayed, some of them also found that they were also writing their Broken chapter simultaneously because the threads are intertwined, right? And the things that come up, for example, in Betrayed, and talking about betrayals and the betrayals between women and self-betrayal, and especially speaking to the corporate business paradigm, the way that women are quite often pitted against each other in the workplace, that again, a lot of that comes up, like you were saying, in Broken, with generational cycles and societal expectations and the ways over time. And I just wanted to touch back on something that you mentioned earlier about not necessarily even recognizing those things as being generational cycles, because a lot of the time these beliefs, these feelings are so deeply ingrained in our upbringing that we don't question them initially, right? They're innate, they're intrinsic to what we think is our identity. And it's not until somebody shines a light on it or highlights it in the ways that you're saying that you're bringing this, and the other authors in Broken are bringing up some of these beliefs and experiences that other readers may be like, oh, I believe that too, but I didn't realize that that was what we meant by generational cycles or beliefs. Because some people feel like when they think, well, I don't have a bad relationship with my mother, or I don't have any generational patterns, because what their perception is of what that should look like is something completely different than what it actually can look like, because it isn't just, oh, well, I come from a family where women don't support each other, or we have toxic relationships with our mothers, or, you know, or toxic relationships with our daughters, or things like that. Isn't necessarily what that means.
Right.
Or breaking out of abusive relationships or things like that, because that's not necessarily the only kind of generational cycle. So I love that there, again, like you said, there are so many layers to peel back. And it's only as we highlight them and peel them back for ourselves and share that, that other people then have that awakening as well to think, oh, it never occurred to me that I was experiencing this too, and that I don't have to be stuck in this cycle anymore, that I can make a change. So I absolutely love that that is where you are going with your chapter in Broken and what you're planning to share in Burned. So for you then, what is the thing that you hope personally to get out of contributing to these books and sharing your story?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely one of those long drives. So I'm hoping that from these books and the women who purchase the books, like in 10, 15 years, people find us authors and go, my mom or my grandmother or my sister or my aunt or my stepmother had this book and I read it, and the chapters or your chapters, this like just changed my perspective on how I'm living my life and the stories that I'm telling myself, what's truth for me. And I'm redefining it to find my own path. Like I'm really hoping that in many years, or like the next generation to come, finds these books and finds us authors, and like it changes their perception.
So for you, it's creating that legacy and knowing that there will be that ripple effect going out into the future is,
Yeah.
so beautiful. I love that. And so then what is the part of the journey that you're most excited about? What is it that you're looking forward to experiencing as you continue writing your chapters and as we go through the process of releasing these books out into the world?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to launching them. I know in my first book launch, with Divinity Speaks, my life kind of all of a sudden started falling apart right around the launch. So I was like, oh, wow. And every time I went to step into like, be a part of that launch and getting that book out there, life kept happening and these barriers kept coming up for a reason. And I think that's why I think Burned is going to be a very pivotal chapter for me to write. Um, because I'm really looking forward to getting these books out there, like sharing them, finding ways to like even do book readings and like add them to my dialogue. That is what I'm really excited about.
Yes. Oh, I love that so much. We have really got this incredible opportunity to take these books and share them in different ways, because I mean, books are forever, like you said, and you just touched on a minute ago that in 10 or 15 years what you're hoping for
Yeah.
is that the daughters or granddaughters or nieces of the people who've maybe read them in this generation are then picking up the book and going, my mom had it, or whatever, and this is how it changed her life, and consequently this is how it has changed or empowered my life as well. But then having the opportunity, as you said, to do book events, to go and speak, to share this wisdom in different ways, because sometimes it's that different format, right? We can speak our truth, literally speak it, as well as speaking our truth by writing it, and having that opportunity to be able to go out and do live events with books or signings or things like that, and taking the book out into the world and sharing it. You touched on the aspect of community, that you love this idea of community, and being able to create and find those tribes, share it in those circles of women in different kinds of ways, I think is a beautiful part of the journey, a really beautiful part of the journey. So that's also something that I know that Jenny and I have talked about, being excited about as well, actually being able to even bring together some of the wounded women authors, you know, when we can geographically be in the same place at the same time and actually come together and run events and heal and do beautiful things with the books as well. So thank you for bringing that aspect back into the conversation and the mix.
Yay, you're welcome.
So if anybody resonates with what you do and wants to find out more about how they can reconnect with their work-life balance or define what that means for them, or if they'd like to find out more about your story, where's the best place to find you and connect with you online?
Absolutely. So the best two places are my website and Instagram. So my website is www.groundedenergy111.com. From there, you can read a little bit about my story, some of the services I offer. And then Instagram is a really great place to follow me. I do a lot of reels and stories and postings, and it's all about my personal journey, past, present, future, dreams that I have. I have an open door policy. Anything that resonates with you, you can DM me on Instagram. You can email me through my website, and my email is tara@groundedenergy111.com. I love interacting and having conversations. So you find most comfortable, either email or DMing me on Instagram, go for it. I'm there. I will respond. And yeah, those are the two ways to find and connect with me.
Oh, amazing. I love it. Well, if anybody would like to connect with Tara, make sure that you hit her up on Instagram or go and check out her website and find out a little bit more about how you can, you know, create your own work-life balance. If you feel like you're stuck in corporate and you're not really sure about how to embrace your own cycles, Tara is definitely the person that you need to connect with on that. And I know that everybody is just as excited as I am to read your chapter in Broken and then to follow your journeys into Burned. So if you'd like to find out more about the Wounded Women series, you can either apply to be part of it at womenwritingintentionally.com, or you can contact me on whichever platform it is that you are watching this on. You can find me at Tracy Brown on most platforms. So thank you so much for being here with us today, Tara. It was wonderful connecting with you, and I very much look forward to more conversations with you as we go through this process. So amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you to everybody for watching. We love you, and we'll be back again sometime soon.